one major advantage.
Yeah, and on the offense, we see a Doomfist rolling out here on Voil. That might be just to put a lot of pressure or surpass these shields and really give them something to work with, but also is a good sustain character, so if they want to just drag on these fights in the point, Doomfist is a great way to do it. But Claw of Death already going down from Hirsch.
I was actually watching Voil during that. He's actually getting ready on the high ground to go in and actually found Junkrat before all that went down. There was a loss in Yada, but with the attacker spawn advantage, he will be able to get back soon. Now Voil going in the back, looking for that Mercy, will not quite be able to find it, but we'll take out Moiro, so one of the two supports are down at the moment. He is having to go pretty far back from Mule on the front. There is a very angry German man pushing the front, trying to batter people around with his nano boosted hammer, and he'll be doing just that. Look at that kill, he tells the whole story. Only a very sleepy McCree as well as a Mercy keeping these guys back. There is Anhu going very far forward trying to keep these guys out, and it looks like despite it being a little bit shaky, he will be able to push the defenders back, capping this point essentially on the first push.
Yeah, very well done. We saw out of Iced what we were looking for out of Hirsch. Ice got onto that high ground area and just rained down damage onto the point unabated and built up a lot of ult charge as well. And then Hero with a lot of beam charge, melting characters. Voil, as you said, put on that upstairs pressure as well. And everyone really played their positions, whereas the defense in the blue team, they kind of just scrambled and lost things as things got going. And there's an Earth Shatter coming up from Anhu, and they're going to go out, and then a nice block on the counter Earth Shatter.
Oh, there is that Moira keeping her teammates nice and healthy during this. There's attack rise from Hershey as well, doing a lot of damage, trying out the enemy 76. Looks like this is the defender's advantage to go on here. 200 MG looking for a kill here as they're popping every single ult they've got to try to push these attackers back. Looks like they are doing just that as well, taking down Paragon at the end of that fight and forcing her back to the spawn. Main issue with that was that was a lot of ults, and now look at that. On the offense, Voltic have quite a few ults lined up, including a Graviton.
Yeah, Voltic is looking good. They'll have a Transcendence if they need it. They honestly shouldn't even need to burn both the Grav and the Visor. They should be able to use them separately, but maybe they want to throw it down just for good measure. But on the defensive side here, they don't have any defensive support, so yeah, they're just going to use the Grav, going right in on that. And using the nano boost as well from Paragon onto Anhu, just to confirm on those kills they secured in the grab, but they pushed up a little too far here and they've actually peaked, and Hirsch picked up a kill onto Paragon. Even Two Bears looking for
Hirsch is actually behind everyone right now. He was trying to get damage he could from the rear, but only found one kill before dying himself. They're also throwing the card, doing a decent job of holding. Moira in the back doing a little bit of damage, but now Voil trying to keep her down, but that ult right there doing a little bit of damage in the backline. She is able to be using that to get back to her team, actually being able to sort of stay very, very healthy ball, just working these flanks. Meanwhile, at the front, it is gonna be another Graviton ult. Party Boy is the one using this on the trance, keeping everyone nice and safe though on Voltic's side. The Earthshatter follow-up though will be enough to knock down quite a few players. No Servant dying regardless though, no kills found on the Earthshatter. Now the Ryan's down, a huge another shatter coming on down. There is gonna be a Valkyrie suit coming out of it, might be too little too. The reses are coming out hugely here, but look at this Voil with his own blade, taking down so many players, just completely nullifying that Valkyrie suit. Voil previously on the Doomfist, now on the Genji, definitely the ult to secure that fight for his team.
Yeah, great job by Claude just to have that Transcendence ready for Party Boy's Grav. And unfortunately for the entirety of 200 milligrams, they didn't have anything to follow up on the grab. So once that Transcendence went down, they were completely out of ultimates for the rest of the fight. And all they were able to get out was Valkyrie, but after that, things just fell apart. And now we're pushing up for more here. Voltic trying to get up a little bit and just put some pressure on No Servant, whose shield's pretty low. They're actually losing as Two Bears sets up the high noon for two. Now it's going to push the rest of the 200 milligram back.
That's about as easy as a Deadeye as it gets. The huge overextension there from Voltic, and essentially they were trying to capitalize on that Moira pick, but did not have, well, they only had 3 players that were really going for it. So it was a bit of an awkward push that was able to be very much capitalized by Two Bears Deadeye. Quick ults, quick teamfight win. Now they do have control of the cart.
Yeah, so it remains to be seen if Voltic can. I mean, they've been able to figure out how to win these fights, but then they don't really seem to know when to back off a little bit. So that's kind of halted them for a minute now. Now they're going to push up. No huge ultimate advantage, but they do have at least one. Now 3. They have the Earth Shatter. Going to see if they can look for this. Once the shield goes down, No Servant is charged in, but Hamster gets a kill with that Coalescence.
Yeah, taking out 1 already, taking out 2 as well. That just goes right through that Reinhardt shield, and now he's just trying to run away. Looks like a couple of very, very well-used ults is all that 200 MG is going to need to be winning these fights. Now Voil in a horrible spot will be able to probably get cut. Oh, no, barely saved with the effort of Zarya and his team support. So no stackers coming out there. Very, very good effort from Voltic. But now they're coming in for another push with 6 ults lined up.
Yeah. 200 milligrams. They are stocked with ultimates. But I mean, they have to worry because there's definitely a grab waiting for that. There's an Earth Shatter, and there it is, putting Anhu on their back, and the rest of the team too. That was a 4-man Earth Shatter. But are they gonna be able to follow up here? The entirety of this team is down. Anhu goes down after the fact, and everything goes blue on the kill feed, so they blew that ultimate.
Seeing a lot here is that definitely 200 MG now have been using their ultimates in this last point incredibly well. Just the amount of value they're able to milk out of every individual ult is very, very good. But with Voltic having 6 ults, I don't know if being able to economize them can properly mitigate 6 people pressing Q at once. Now here going in as well at the same time with the Graviton and the Blade combo. This might be all they need. Servant not counting anything with that charge as well. It is just Hamster contesting for as long as they can now, alone on the cart, eventually being caught out as well, only needing 2 ults. So now both teams having the same number of ults. Both teams got the, looking at Anhu and Ice. Those are the 2 ults I'm looking at right now to maybe start and will end a fight quickly. Meanwhile, Claw of Death and Paragon with those nice support ults as well. Definitely a one's fight though, 1 minute 40.
And Ice positioning up in this top means that once his fight gets going, he's be able to pop that visor with the boost. He jumps right down, looking for kills. The Graviton also keeping him in place, though, so he can't chase for more after those 2. And Karma's going to be able to pop the double res from the Valkyrie. Hirsch landing a pulse bomb, and the kill feed again swinging back towards Voltic. 200 milligrams. Voltic falling apart there after putting a lot of their eggs in that one basket and blowing every single one of their 6 ultimates just to lose the fight.
Yeah, they definitely were feeling pretty good about that initial fight. They were able to keep 4 ults ready for that, but that push, as soon as they lose 1 or 2 members there, you cannot keep a long-term push going once you have less members like that, when the opponents have spawn advantage. Looking out here, we do have now have Anhu on the Winston. They need to try to do something right now. No Servant, the only ult on his team is that Rhine ult, and who's gonna be going down. But meanwhile, while he's up top, there is an Earth Shatter from the bottom. No Servant getting so much value with it, finding Paragon and Boyle right away. 40 seconds left. This is absolutely a lost team fight from Voltic. They need to reset right now. Just die or kill yourself or do something. And who's actually caught as well will be having to go back to his spawn, but getting traced down and killed by 2 bears and that Tracer. Oh, that is not a stagger you want with only 25 seconds left.
And they have so little to work with going into this next fight. Hero has the grab, but unless Voyle gets his blade in time, they're not going to be really confirming these kills off the Graviton. And Hirsch is waiting with the pulse bomb. Hamster has the coalescence too, so they have to be careful. They also have Anhu now onto this Winston, which means they could be set up for an Earth Shatter if no Servant can build it into this fight.
Heroes looking for a Graviton. They're going in very aggressively right now. They're CC'd a little bit, but they do catch the Mercy and the Rhine in that. Not much yet. The Pulse Bomb not quite killing anyone either. Meanwhile, 2 bears getting a lot of work done on that McCree. Res is coming out on both sides. I do see a Valkyrie suit for Karma. Blade from Boyle is not available. He is dead despite having that ult. Their overtime has been called. These boys are fighting for their lives on the start. Claude popping at the trance. There is going to be no Servant almost charging off the map. Graviton catching a couple during this fight. Ryan swinging his hammer, catching both of those that were caught inside. This might be 200 MG winning this fight with a nice Graviton. There's still some players left though on Voltic fighting for their lives. Primal Rage staying alive as long as he can. Overtime is going on for so long right now, but this numbers is simply too much. 200 MG getting so many kills, even Boyle getting stuck here. There's still a Tracer and a Mercy trying to keep the dreams alive, but that looks like that it might finally be it. A long stagger, very hopeful stagger, but eventually 200 MG stopping that car 56.94 meters into the round.
I feel like that could have gone either way. Voltic,
yeah,
and honestly, they had really good patience throughout the set, throughout the map for sure. 200 milligrams would beat them in a fight and they'd hold on to their ultimates, or they'd get Earth Shatter and they wouldn't burn anything, or someone would get staggered and they'd wait. And they had even good ultimate usage throughout the fight too, and good economy. They're min-maxing. And then towards the end, they just had some weird ult choices. Claw, who had a good Transcendence, ended up being late. They boosted his visor that really got nothing. They weren't waiting for the grab and burned things too early. So when things were active, they got caught into the Graviton. They couldn't move. Things like that they start adding up towards the end. And then, of course, as you said, the defender, getting back in there in time can really hurt the attack when they're not close enough to the end of the map and they're still trying to straggle towards the payload. And once these fights got longer and longer, it really went the way of 200 milligrams. So Voltic, I think they're just close enough. They're just there, but they have to be able to keep themselves together in terms of ultimate usage, but also not overextend and not stagger when it means a lot, because those 30, 45 seconds that you burn are very precious when they add up.
Yeah, the Voltic was definitely over aggressive a lot of the time as well. You know, trying to make plays that just didn't quite make sense based on the team's positioning as a whole. Obviously, we were able to see everything on the map going on just because we got these nice little free cams. But Voltic, a lot of just, you know, like little three-man pushes or just ults. They're just like, well, this should work in theory, but the team just didn't ever seem to be quite on board with it. That being said, they did have a lot of nice little nifty tricks. They do have a lot of mechanical skill on their side, and now on defense running a Junkrat, Zarya, Reinhardt, 76. This is a very, very solid defense. Things are one of the nice maps for Junkrat as well. Looking to see what he can do here on defense.
Yeah, definitely look for Two Bears and Hirsch though, because they're going to be the playmakers on the side of 200 milligrams to look for these these characters they can dive onto, like Voil, like Iced, like Claw of Death. But Voil getting a first kill. There's Two Bears picking up Iced, like I was calling for. He wants to go into that back line and pick up those diveable characters.
As you say, there's a huge trade going on, but in that little tight space, that Ryan Hammer does a lot of damage right there, catching both Genji and D.Va. But look at this, though. This fight has gone relatively balanced, but there's a huge spot advantage. The attackers, 200 MG, just taking a very scrappy fight, getting one pick as well. And while Voltic looked a little bit strong, I was a little bit worried with Moira getting picked initially. They're able to definitely just keep going in here, find those little squishy targets, and just cap the point. 5 minutes, 40 seconds, very similar first pushes for both of these teams, but that looks incredibly strong for 200 MG.
Yeah, despite Voil picking up that first kill, you gotta be careful, because once those divers get into your back line, it's so hard to stay alive. We saw how that goes down. Yeah, they're not stopping. They want to eat up as much time and get as much distance as possible. Here comes the Riptire from Voil. He's Deacon, but he can't get away from Party Boy's left-right clicks. And he's just going to stay in there, and they're going to back up just a little bit here. Two Bears hopefully shouldn't get caught up. He doesn't get defense matrix. They're going to back up just a little bit here. And to be careful, though, the defenders are now up super close to the payload.
Yeah, they're trying to wait. Oh, Earthshatter just Ryan right on the corner, then immediately getting knocked down just a few seconds too late. Will result in a huge team wipe. 200 MG just back, running to their spawn or respawning in their spawn with their tails between their legs. And a couple of heroes which are coming out here now as well. Dive no longer the composition of choice for our attackers on 200 MG. They do have still have a couple of ults left though. Sunbear and a Genji Blade. Those are two ults that work pretty well together, but the defending team on Voltic simply have more ults. Let's see which one gets out first.
Yeah. Oh, barrier going down for this fight, and they're going to charge right in. Claw again with the Transcendence. Colette's coming out from Moira. D.Va bomb from above, but Nova Servant has the shield up, and then an Earthshatter put only iced on their back, though. Meanwhile, Hamster taking out that Riptire. Now Hero still has the mecha, but has to get out of there because Party's right on with a ton of charge. And now Voil's upstairs with that Junkrat just distracting Zarya so he doesn't charge too far out. Ice now gets back in luck to the res. Now going to try and clean up the other 76 and almost able to do so, but somehow gets out is Hirsch. And now finding this An, who is super out of position, is going to get right-clicked and put away, but the rest of the team is picking up the slack.
Yeah, something I saw during this fight as well was a Reinhardt losing a 2v1 versus some supports. Garmin Hamster taking out Anhu during that earlier. But now the 200 MG are back on the cart. Hero doing what they can to contest, doing a pretty good job of it as well. Supports are on their back. Eventually they'll be forced back by No Servant, but ooh, getting moved way back to the back line by Voil. Almost like a bit of a Roadhog hook, just bringing him right back to the team where he can easily be killed. Very hard to see that player. Now look at D.Va going in the back line. Party Boy getting a little bit of free Zarya charge from that. Not much else occurring from that particular bomb. Looks like that there's a Moira ult coming out, but that Earthshatter will be knocking down, interrupting that ult. There is D.Va trying to go in to really capitalize, but does not make it. Meanwhile, Hirsch losing against their opposing 76, getting the tack visor kill. Paragon dying during this as well. It looks like Voltic beginning to show a couple of chinks in the armor. Boyle winning out versus his opposing Joker as well. A lot of supports playing some very, very tricky angles right now. Looks like defenders are finally able to secure the cart a little bit, forcing back Zarya and Moira, the two only heroes left for that push.
That entire fight started from, you know, really good team switches and composition switches coming out from 200 milligrams, switching over to the Reinhardt and Zarya, but no Servant went out super far, so they lose all that value they get from the shield as he was out of position, and then everyone just started collapsing on each other, burning ultimates. Here's the Riptire coming out from Voil after he picks up Hirsch. It's not going to get anything, though, and now both Reinhardts are just scrambling on the point, and without either of them putting their shields up, it's a huge loss because there's Earth Shadows coming out, but Party Boy with the quick bubble, still the rest of his team's not going to be able to survive for long. Even Anhu, wow, just somehow able to stay alive, but Voil is not going to be able to. Still things are trading, but the defense doesn't really seem too pressured to push up. They're going to fall back, and they should. They're sitting on a little bit of an ultimate advantage here. They should wait for a full fight, but a Coalescence is actually going to force their hand. Moira running and getting into their face here, and the entirety of the red team is going to fall back and try and wait for the rest of their reinforcements.
Yeah, they're definitely outnumbered right here. Anu's actually been really hyper this whole game, and now his shield's back up, so we can definitely do this a little bit safer, but they have not been able to contest this card, and oh, the Earthshatter from Noser not doing too much, and now Anu moving on with the Transcendence from the Zen. Oh, but he'll be carrying right on back. This huge Orion Brawl's going on here. The Diva Bomb not finding anything, just giving Party Boy more and more charge. The Graviton, they're not finding too much, and look at that, Grind and Junkrat on the side of Voltic, taking out their opposing counterparts, and now a 4v6 in favor of Voltic is pushing back the 200 MG boys. It is gonna be two barriers going down as well. They're just trying to survive as long as they can, but now a full retreat is in order. Party Boy and Hamster, the last one's left again, trying to get away, but they will be taken down, staggered by Ice. And now, look, Voltic are trying to get as much value as they can from this push. Party Boy looking like it will be the last one, but a very good hold by Voltic. 1 minute left, 200 MG to make something happen.
This is so incredibly hard here for 200 MG to break because they're so distracted by Hero and Anhu getting in their face and Ice too, and they have no way to actually find where Voil is, who's just sitting upstairs and constantly raining down spam damage. By the time they've gotten that far in, they're going to get melted. We're going to see if Hirsch can try and flank in the back line with this Tracer pick now, but it may be too little too late. There's already 45 seconds left on the clock.
Both DPS on side 200 be going in for some flanks, but it will be Voil once again finding a kill into Hamster, forcing out the Valkyrie suit, making her revive that. Riptire actually looking for Mercy and finding her, but meanwhile the Riptire from Two Birds doing a little bit more, catching out a lot of members of the team. Kurgan needing to use his Valkyrie suit, finding two back right away, forcing Ice to use his tack visor, doing what he can. A lot of kills going on all around the cart. There's been about 15 deaths on this cart between the revives that have happened. Now it's just a Baby Diva and a Junkrat able to kill everyone on the cart. A very, very close fight. Only a couple of squishies left. With only a few seconds left, I don't know if Hirsch can get back here in time. The Earthshatter forcing that one down, and it will be Voltic Esports winning round 1 here on Kings Row.
And doing so, I would say decisively too. They put on a really good show on defense. Their offense took a little time to get going entirely, but you know, they made it essentially as far as they needed to, obviously. So we saw it right here, just a ton of ultimate usage, and this Coalescence, see how powerful it is. Not only dealing damage, but allowing your team to get reinvigorated during a fight and push up and swing momentum back in their favor. That's what Coalescence is great for. It's kind of like the wind beneath your wings. And once you pop that, yeah, it's great.
Something important to note as well here on Kings Row in particular, but also Payload in general, is that Moira's ult, Coalescence, it is not difficult to catch your, like, a lot of members of your team and a lot of members of the enemy team, because you are all fighting over that central area of the payload. There aren't many, you're playing the, well, not payload. Very rarely is everyone lined up so well. So it is not surprising at all. We saw Moira having a huge effect on the game, especially when they had ult there on Kings Row. But, well, I say but next map, Rapture, is going to be Gibraltar. So we're probably going to end up seeing some more Moira if Game 1 was any indicator of that.
I wouldn't be surprised, though. I think teams would probably want to go for divier compositions on Gibraltar, or ones that can have some more verticality. So I would definitely think of a mix. On defense, definitely for sure. But also, Moira is still a character that can get caught out by these long-range hit scans like 76, Hanzo, Widowmaker. These are picks that are pretty common on Gibraltar. And so Moira has to even clump up even more with her team, which means she can't really help with characters that are getting peeled or getting dived on unless she's like right there. And so we'll see if these teams kind of stick together on those compositions, or maybe go for dive and try to separate everyone.
Yeah, Widow especially being one of the more noteworthy ones. However, we are here on Gibraltar. There has been a pallet swap. 200 MG now in the red, attacking first. Voltic in the blue, defending. And Voltic looking like they want to pull out an Ana. This has definitely been hit or miss from my experience. If she cannot get an... If she can't really assist Voil and, well, okay, as I say that, going on to the Mercy, so this point is moot anyway. But as I was going to say, if you're an Ana, she really has to hit a lot of her shots, because she has high ground that she can shot on and defend herself reasonably well, but there's just a lot of nooks and crannies that people can use to avoid an opposing Ana. So she will be running that Mercy. Hamster looking like they'll be teasing the Mercy as well. No real surprises here. As you said, verticality and mobility being the huge factors that both our attacking and defensive teams look like they can be favoring.
Yeah, on the blue side here, Voltic, we're going to be on defense. They're setting up with that 76. They have the mobility if they need it. And really what makes the Zenyatta and Mercy just so strong is that they don't have to commit necessarily, or if they do, they're pretty safe. Like, Zenyatta can sit in the back and throw down those discords, and Mercy can stay, like, it's just so hard to hit, especially with Valkyrie as well, that, you know, it doesn't have to worry about her team diving around. It'll be interesting to see how well team 200 milligrams in the red will be able to get onto that back line. But already Ice taking out Widowmaker, getting all the way in the back, cleaning her up, and creating a lot of problems already.
Forcing out the revive already. Those are with the new channeling though, that is pretty hard to get revives off. So Hirsch getting up is pretty good there, making Ice Pick relatively ineffective. And now Anu going down the front line. That is not a revive. Paragon will be able to get him going down practically for free. Now the Hamster hugely out of position will be getting picked without Hirsch being revived, returning the favor, saying thanks to the revive, getting some revenge for you, making sure Paragon does not live to see the light of day. But Clav is somehow winning against Tubers. A lot of very surprising picks coming out here. But definitely 200 MG coming out on top as the car is still chugging away toward that first checkpoint.
Yeah, 200 MG just taking out the front line, not even worrying about the supports, just fighting the tanks a little out of position, cleaning them up before everyone got back together, coalesced back together. But because of that little overextension there from Two Bears, couldn't get them more leverage. The payload has come to a halt again. Definitely a loss they didn't want to take. And now they don't have high ground advantage, so they're waiting on that. Here comes the Diva Bomb from behind though, trying to clean up, only gets Paragon. That could be enough leverage to get them into this fight, but another Diva Bomb responds. Both Mercies are down. Hero also DMEC Party Boy, that's huge. They're not going to be able to chase down as hard as they would like to, and that's going to force this Lucio from Karma to kind of clean up and try and keep the team mobile enough to get out of these deaths, but can't do so. He goes down. Hirsch also gets cleaned up, and the payload will continue to stay where it is.
Both Mercies during that fight died the exact same way, which is pretty silly. The previous fight, I think they both got maybe not died the exact same way, but died in similar positions that time though. Diva taking out both of them, a very, very good tool for taking out errant Mercies. Looking like 200 MG though, now going to be pushing over the top all together. They're being rendered this push a little bit by the positioning of Anu, trying to body block the push. Actually works out quite well so far, just sitting here, make sure that Winston can't dive as much as he wants, but now Primer Rage going out. No Servant has had a little bit too much, but he is very out of position, getting gunned down, and once again body blocked by our defending team, taking them down, then converging on a Hamster as they do drop down to the cart. Look at this, the push not working out well at all, just getting picked to pieces. All that's left is a Tracer who's trying to stay alive as long as they can, eventually being found by Anu. And now some hero switches, Hamster trying the Ana, not feeling too good on that Mercy.
We'll see how this Moira works out. I think Mercy would still work. I think it comes down to more of a coordination thing. No Servant just kind of dove in and popped the Primal to try and clean up the support, where really he should be using that to stay alive and keep a little more sustain onto the point. And also great work by the tank line on the blue side here, just forcing the front line to either commit to the back or just stay where they are. And again, when the front line of these two tanks, Hero and Anhu, keeping the red team in their place and allowing the rest of their team to sit really far behind and heal and damage boost without putting their lives on. They're essentially 2v4ing the entirety of 200 milligrams, and Voltic allowing them to do so. They're creating so much space for the rest of their team, and look at Ice cleaning up on the side here while the tanks are distracting the rest of the team.
Only 40 seconds left here. There was also a blade use with Two Bears that was very ineffective, so they do not have that ult. Huge advantage going in for the defenders going on here. Only a few seconds left. They got to figure out what they want to do. A lot of their pushes have simply been ineffective. The holds from Voltic have just been absolutely solid. Even now, a little bit of a attacking Cyber used to initiate the fight will die despite that by Voil. The Diva Bomb in the middle of this little plateau here will be forcing everyone to run for the hills. Meanwhile, though, in the back line, just no servant Party Boy, both the tanks getting taken down as they do retreat from that Diva Bomb. Just no coordination here at all. Mercy and Two Bears do find a pick during this. Overtime is popped as Hamster is using that Coalescence on that Moira ult. Look at this, though. The tanks are still alive, but they're getting picked up by the surviving DPS of 250. This push actually going a little bit better than I thought initially. Boyle is actually forced to use his attack fires in a bit of an awkward spot. He is being kept alive by his Zenyatta ult, so he will be able to keep the entire attack fires are effective, but there's simply too many targets. Even Two Bears popping his ult a little bit prematurely. We'll be trying to chase someone down with this, but there are no targets for him. And despite a bit of a messy finish, 200 MG will eventually cap that point. 2 minutes 15 added to that time.
Yeah, we thought it was over when Hero popped that Diva Bomb and forced everyone away. And it almost was, because Anu essentially cleaned everyone up inside the server room. Things were so tight in him, it's perfect for Winston's Tesla gun. But then Hirsch just came out of nowhere and picked up 3 or 4 kills, and that right there, that's all the answer you need. Sometimes it doesn't come down to coordination, just the individual execution. Then Voil cleaning up No Servant, who's found themselves just off cooldown a lot, right and down, staring them down the barrel of a gun. Off cooldown, unfortunately, so has to change that up a little bit.
Yeah, that does not stop their aggression, though, which is something we've been seeing a lot from Turn MG. Not really caring if they lose a pick here. They're still going to be trying to make something happen. Sometimes it works, and this is going to be one of those times. Two Bears is popping off, cleaning out the spaceship from everyone. Karma does die during that, but does not even matter at all. Demon Bomb is the last-ditch effort from Hero, but they are not even able to remech from that one. 1 minute 20, but that timer is looking like it's going to be a little bit bigger as this cart is approaching the second checkpoint.
See, now Anhu and Hero, they need to stay with their team a little more often. You see how it's working much better when they do. And especially on this second phase, it's so easy for them to lose line of sight with the rest of their team that if they get too far out, then yeah, they're going to get bodied. Meanwhile, Ice is bodying the entirety of the red team here. And now that the team is kind of clumped up on this second phase, things are looking much better for Voltic.
We saw No Servant and Two Bears do a very interesting strat where they just tried to make sure that people couldn't walk that door in the top left, and they just got like battered. Like they just died immediately from that strat, and then the rest of the surviving teammates from Twin MG were forced to 4v6. Definitely a weird strat right there, but 4 seconds left. They gotta make this last push work. A couple of ults they have is the Moira and the Genji ult, but Karma getting out so low, almost died, is able to get back in time. Meanwhile, a Hero getting down will be demaxed and eliminated from the fight, and now look at this, Two Bears just completely popping off. There is still immersive on for Paragon, but Karma is dead, so the defenders have a bit of an advantage with that Mercy. Valkyrie's did so much sustained healing coming out from that. She is trying to get chased down, but absolutely untouchable in the sky right now is Paragon. Valkyrie does eventually end, which as the dust clears, still a couple of players left on both these teams. And that Two Bears, this is the time he'll be trying to make something happen, but there is a chance to mitigate his blade. The Diva Bomb not accomplishing anything. There's so many ults that are being used to counter each other time and time and time again. And now as all the ults are, well, I say I've finished up, and now Karma has that Valkyrie again as they able to just keep their team alive. Jurgen is eventually killed off, though, and that now with only the attacking team having a Valkyrie, this might be a bit foil, but the attack fires are finding so much damage, killing Party Boy, that Diva, but there's so much back and forth here, Rapture, as it looks like Two Bears finally will be finishing out a couple of these players. Boyle and Paragon left to go for some contesting strats. They'll be surviving as long as they can, but there's just not enough. They're getting surrounded, quartered, finished off, and in deep overtime. That is going to be the card. Caps 2 points now gained for 200 MG after 2 very close pushes.
To really wrap up that fight, it's pretty hard to summarize it, considering everyone popped everything they possibly could. Things kind of start off because we saw Hero go down early because he decided to 1v3 half the team on the top of the spaceship. I think that's what these divas need to be watching out for, is losing their mech too early in the fight.
In general.
Or dying too early or losing your mech too early just makes it extremely hard to actually win the rest of the fight unless you can just jump right in and reinforce. So again, Party Boy going down early, and even Hero kind of finding themselves with Nova Servant right in their back end, but they're gonna get cleaned up because Voil is in amazing position all the time. Not only in position, but tagged up with Claw, focusing down the mech and making the most of this right click. Yeah, Voil's doing a ton of work.
Yeah, and you see right there what happens when the enemy team has positioning like this. If you lose a tank for free, just having half of the damage mitigation just lets Voil go to town here. They're going to need to do something to get him off here. It looks like it will be two bears going on from the side. Going to try to contesting this high ground. The Zenyatta knows what's up, though. Voil is pretty much able to mostly ignore two bears. He is eventually forced off by a huge dive in from the tanks of 200 MG. Actually, but it not working out at all as Party Boy is DMAC karma chased out as well. This push not working well at all. And now the ults are popped way too late to do an MG, but it is very much a story of too little, too late. Diva Bomb there securing the point, as well as Voil's tack bars. There's no one left to even touch the cart. A very awkward end for 200 MG's very, very last minute style run of things.
Definitely Voltic shaped up towards the end. And also, they get a larger margin of error towards the end of the map, obviously, because they can just reinforce, and they also don't have to worry as much about getting flanked, because there's really no room to do that for the offense. But vice versa, you had Iced in the backline, constantly harassing and creating a really amazing pincer option, because once Iced would get close to the backline, you had Hero just diving right in and keeping him alive, and putting on added kills with a shift or missiles, and just keeping the defense matrix up. So anytime that happened, Ice was such a problem. And if you turn your attention towards Ice, well, you have Voil upstairs raining down with the Discord on you and the healing buff on him. So it's so hard to deal with that, and you really kind of have to pick your targets and get rid of them early. Otherwise, you're going to face a lost fight or a fight that goes on forever. And likely, if you're on the offense in that situation, it's hard to continually reinforce over and over and over again ad infinitum. So yeah, the defense of Voltic, amazing job just shaping up and, you know, working out positionally.
Yeah, besides a few specific moments, it does seem like Voltic is just a little bit better at dive. Their team seems to just be a little bit more cohesive, and Kings Row did look a little bit shaky, going a lot more aggressive than it looked like they were ready for, but they are definitely making it work out now. Now, though, next round, it is now 200 MG in the red on the defense. They're going to be running a very familiar-looking comp, just straight-up defensive dive here, sitting just on a high ground. And on the offense, though, Voil teasing the Doomfist. We saw him running this on Kings Row, and it worked out very well with some sneaky positioning, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to find the same amount of value on this map.
Yeah, he has the mobility, but he has to burn his cooldowns to do it. So if he doesn't, he has to commit a ton, essentially, to get work done. And if he's not on point every single time, that's essentially a dead body flying into the air. So has to be careful with what targets he picks.
Oh, very aggressive hold here, but Claw of Death getting picked off. This is very, very interesting for a defending team. They're trying to just contest the cart right away, but this does not work at all. Voil, this is exactly what it was, just brawling into a team that is pushing right on into him. That was not at all to plan for 200 MG. I really feel like the Doomfist had a lot to say during that fight, as well as Anu for that one.
Yeah, Voil immediately hunted down the Zenyatta, who he found on the bridge, and that was perfect because Zenyatta's a great, other than having, you know, Transcendence, he's a slow, big, boxy hitbox you can just run in. It's perfect for Doomfist to clobber you. And yeah, two bears, though, gonna return the favor just a little bit here. Now we have Party Boy showing up. And yeah, this is a really aggressive hold here, something that took a little while to become standard in Overwatch, but now teams just want to hold up as far as possible, really just to eat away time. But now that the payload is situated downstairs, it's hard to regain that high ground and push it farther.
Hirsch really wanted that kill onto Anya, but they were not quite able to find, even using their pulse bomb to try and get it. That Rosen was a little bit too pocketed, though, so he was able to survive that. Most of it now trying to do what he can on this high ground, making sure that at the very least Voltic can move around for free. He is definitely treading the line between life and death. There is now a Valkyrie suit from Paragon, meaning that they gotta go right now. This is the time to push. And they're doing just that. The D-Bomb going out very far as well, finding both Karma and Party Boy, but Party Boy's own D.Va Bomb is up on anything, but look at that, Party Boy died. They're not able to remake. Meanwhile, the attacking D.Va is able to get is here on the cart. There's just so many more effective ults during that, and that Paragon's Valkyrie as an initiation tool definitely worked out in their favor.
Yeah, Valkyrie just kept them alive longer, but also no Servant playing a little too aggressively on the front line, and so that way there was no way for him to have the bubble ready for the D.Va Bomb. Here comes Claw now with the Transcendence. On
the high ground was both attacked by a lot of ults being popped here. Doomfist's ult not being too much as with the Zenyatta. Transit keeping his team alive, but there's a big numbers advantage going on for the attackers, excuse me, as Karma is doing what they can with the Valkyrie suit to hold and stagger as long as they can. But just look at that kill feed. It tells the whole story, man.
No one's on
Not
it.
even being able to contest as well. That was definitely what Party Boy was supposed to be doing there. They're trying to get away now. They should be able to. They're getting pocketed here by this Mercy, but they really want Party Boy finding Karma as well. This is disastrous as Party Boy getting D-Max taken down. They're even staggering her so much. They're so confident in this. Party Boy chasing down, saying, please kill me. They will eventually acquiesce to that one, but a huge stagger in favor of Voltic.
200 milligrams really need to evaluate their defensive strategy here. They let the kills come to you. Don't chase for them, because that's what's allowing their tanks to be separated. Here comes the Diva Bomb, but right into a bubble. The bubble does go away, but no one's in position to get killed by it. And at least that's still a good zoning ultimate. They're going to walk this payload in while distracting the rest of the team on the high ground. Look, again, they're two tanks taking on multiple characters. And now Transcendence coming out from the side of the blue team. Claw popping that. Bomb going down. That's not going to connect. No Servants trying to chase down this Mercy, but he's going out, and now he's out of position. Has the Discord on him. He's probably going to get melted by this. He has to pop the primal rage to stay alive, but the rest of his team is falling. Again, being too aggressive and not there to actually keep his team alive, while Anhu is just cleaning up two bears. This payload very close. Party Boy distracting, getting on and obstructing that payload, but it is going to go into that second checkpoint.
We're just seeing so much better cohesion between Anhu, Hero, and Ice. So the dive team of Voltic compared to the diving of 200 MG. No Servant a lot of those times, trying to go for solo kills, and it's not working out. But looking at this, Voltic is not ready to let out the aggression yet, as they are going to be looking for something here. Hero actually popping the D-Mech right in the enemy block. Oh, not quite able to remech. That was not what you wanted to do right there. They were able to get an enemy D-Mech in the process, but a huge point advantage in favor of the defenders means that push for Voltic is not too effective, but they're going all in on it in a very scrappy push. Still somehow getting fixed when this two bear is getting killed. I hear Ice fighting Party Boy as well. Is this gonna do it? Is this a thing that you can do as No Servant, Hirsch, and Hamster? The only ones left, they're getting dove on completely. These are not heroes that can survive a very long time on their own as well. Karma is now here that popped up to get the revive on a Hamster, but they're just staggering at this point. This huge push from Voltic is just ruining the defenders. There is going to be a Diva Bomb just once again stagger for a little bit longer. Hirsch will also kill himself.
That should be it.
Looks so strong here, and that last push. How did that happen? That was crazy.
Well, I think I saw no less than you, my friend, but it definitely seemed like the snowball was absolutely real here. And that's really not saying too much for Gibraltar, a map that's definitely known for this. But Voil, definitely the MVP. But I would say I wouldn't even just be Voil. It's just certainly, like you said, the dive line of the two tanks and Ice doing so much work on dive that Voil's job was just immensely easy. There was essentially no way for him not to do any work. He was constantly set up by them, given